Operation Just Cause, which was the United States invasion of Panama, was launched on December 20th, 1989, and concluded on January 31st, 1990. The operation was conducted as a result of Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega being a massive drug dealer, his annulling of the results of the 1989 Panamanian general elections, which appeared to have been won by the opposition candidate, and of course, the execution of a U.S. Marine officer by Panamanian Defense Forces at a roadblock. After all of that, Bush said all bets were off and authorized the U.S. invasion of the country. Operation Nifty Package was the name given to the Delta Force and Navy SEAL plan to capture Noriega himself. During the Battle of Paitilla Airport on December 20th, SEAL Team 4 was sent into Panama during the early hours of Operation Just Cause with the goal of disabling Noriega's personal plane. The main force of SEALs landed just south of the airport shortly before the initial combat operations started within Panama itself. Several reconnaissance teams were hidden on the north side of the airfield to provide real-time data on enemy movements. During the battle, 52 SEAL operators were sent in. 4 would be killed in action with 9 more wounded. On the other side, Noriega's jet was completely destroyed. A Panamanian gunboat was sunk. At least 3 Panamanian soldiers were killed with 8 wounded. However, the total number is unknown. The next day, the SEALs were replaced by a company from the 75th Ranger Regiment. Due to the high levels of casualties sustained and several inconsistencies regarding planning and the command and control during the Battle of Paitilla Airport is considered one of the most controversial operations within Operation Just Cause. Additionally, divers from SEAL Team 2 entered the water and approached Noriega's personal, heavily armed gunboat in separate pairs, attached to explosives, and began exfiltrating. As they were leaving, several PDF guards began dropping grenades and shooting into the water, forcing the SEALs to take cover under the pier. Due to the diversion, the SEAL divers were still in the area when the bombs went off, and were able to confirm that the boat was destroyed. As the divers were heading back to the rendezvous point, they heard a large ship approaching overhead and were forced to descend to 40 feet, which was dangerous due to the increased toxicity and pure oxygen that was being used in the dragger at greater pressures. However, no divers experienced any ill effects, and both pairs were picked up by several raiding craft. Noriega then fled like a wuss and took refuge at the Vatican's embassy with 4 others, being Lieutenant Colonel Nivaldo Mandrinan, the head of Panama's secret police, Captain Elisier Gaitan, who led the special forces charged with protecting Noriega, Belgica de Castillo, the former head of Immigration Department, and her husband, Carlos Castillo. Noriega then turned over the majority of his weapons and requested sanctuary, which was provided by the embassy but not necessarily by the Pope or the Vatican itself. They allowed Noriega in with the hopes of convincing him to surrender and to prevent the potential of Noriega launching a guerrilla warfare campaign against American forces. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker wrote to the Vatican insisting that, quote, "This is an exception to diplomatic immunity. We've indicted him as a drug dealer. You must understand that having lost American lives to restore democracy in Panama, we cannot allow Noriega to go to any other country than the United States," unquote. American soldiers then set up a perimeter outside of the building, as any direct action against the embassy itself would have violated international diplomatic law. To further wear down Noriega, the Americans decided the best psychological operation that they could possibly do was play some rock and roll music. Of the many rock songs blasted outside of the embassy, 2 notable ones were Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses, due to, being in a Panamanian jungle, and Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Although the Vatican officially complained to President Bush about the music, it would continue for 3 days before Bush had the block party come to an end. The Vatican then stated that Noriega did not have asylum and that he was instead a person of refuge. Noriega finally agreed to surrender, and when he reached the front gate, an American paratrooper named Sergeant Scott Geist confronted Noriega and described him as a broken man. A number of other soldiers then forced him to get to the ground and began searching his effects to make sure he didn't have any weapons on him. His wrists were then taped behind his back, and he was led into a waiting American helicopter which took him to Howard Air Force Base. Noriega was then arrested and charged with a ton of horrible things by the United States, Panama, and France. I made a video a while ago about Manuel Noriega and his drug dealing as well as his reign in Panama, so you can go check out that video if you want. But did you know about Operation Nifty Package before this video? What other cartels and crimes topic would you like for me to cover? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.